Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I recorded this video yesterday in the afternoon, but the light I lost track of time and the lighting was just terrible and I was like, "Oh, this is not it." This lighting is not the lighting that I would prefer. So I'm like, let's just scrap that and let's restart the next day. So yeah, so here we have a walkthrough. I haven't done a walkthrough in so long, but this deck, I think, just needed introduction. I think it needs. I want to talk about it. I want to share it with you guys, and to spread the word because Meleen, I really like all of her work so far. The first deck I had of hers was, I believe, the Rosetta and the Tabula Mundi. I believe I got them at the same time. I think I got like the black and white version here. And this is the mini Rosetta, the first edition mini that she made a while. Like, oof, this was her very first deck. Um, and so then she released it. This is the second edition, if I'm not mistaken. Number 112. Um, and she always makes her decks in these boxes, which I like how they look aesthetically. These jewelry boxes, just like that. Like, aesthetically, yes, I like them, but practically, I don't like how unprotected the cards feel. Like, I just feel like if I grab the boxes wrong, they'll just fall out and all the cards will just spill out. The mini ones don't feel too... they still do. A bag is what I'd prefer to keep them in. Anyways, and if not, at least a sturdier box, something a la Baba Studios, or what a lot of modern decks are doing, those sturdy boxes. US Games does quite a few of them as well, but, to keep them out of these very loose jewelry boxes, I put them in, I'd rather try to put them in a Baba Studios bag here. And so, yeah, this is the Tabula Mundi, I believe she calls it her magnum opus, and I haven't read with it as much as I would like to, but the few readings that I have done with it have been quite, for lack of a better term, accurate. Very, very, very accurate. But I don't use it often. And so, yeah, this was her second deck, the Tabula Mundi. Colores Arcus, I believe is the full title. And then the Rosetta Tarot Papyrus edition. And then this was her last deck, which wasn't an actual full 78 tarot, but it was the complete 22 major arcana. And she made it into 3 separate editions with a fully bordered and then a partial border right here, and then a completely borderless version like this. And so I just mixed them all together. And keep it as one deck. I haven't read with this like this much, but it's probably I love the backs on this one. Like her and all of her card backs are always something neat to look at. I don't know why that's like that. I usually put my cards away back facing outwards. But yeah, I mean, just to show the mini one, like you can see all the detail in that. And also, pardon the sniffles. Even though it's autumn, the allergies have been really getting to me this year. Like really, really bad. Itchy throat, coughing, and sniffles. And I'm like, am I getting sick? And no, it's just allergies. It's just allergies. So yeah, this bag also is from the Botan Tarot. But the bag was just so big, I was like, oh, this is perfect for the majors only, for all 3 of them to fit in that. But anyways, we're talking about this. And this right here is the Telos Tarot of 777, I believe is the full title. And this was funded on Kickstarter. I backed it and I just got my copy, when was it? Friday? Thursday? Something like that? I don't know when I got it. And I said I was going to make this video sooner, but time slipped by. But yeah, it's the Telos Tarot of 777, yeah. Of 2,000 copies. She usually does print runs of 2000, and I got number 99. It says here, to me belongs yesterday. I know tomorrow. I wonder if that's what that says here. I have to see. I have to see what she put a key somewhere for the Egyptian hieroglyphs. And there is a book that you can get that's like for translating Egyptian hieroglyphs. I saw it at Barnes and Noble once, at my local Barnes and Noble, and then I went to go get it again, and they moved things around, and I don't know if they sold it or whatever. But anyways, mostly because her new Rosetta Tarot is in Egyptian hieroglyphics. So yeah, but anyways, so yeah, this deck, it almost looks like a, I don't know what I would consider it, like a little sister or a little brother to the Tabula Mundi, I think. I'm not sure if I put this in the right order that as to when it came in from the box, but I think I put it in the right order, I think. But yeah, this isn't really how I put my cards, but I put it, I don't know. I tried my best. And also, she does really good with her books. I have like 3, I think. I think she only has 3 books out total. This is the Book of Sechet, A Guide to the Rosetta, as it says there, and then Book M, Liber Mundi, for the Tabula Mundi. And then this is Spectrum Fati. This is for the majors only deck, and it talks about the colors. It's the point of the Spectrum Fati was her foray into watercolors, and her this is like an in-depth take on the color scales, I think. She has another little PDF on the animals and animal symbolism, but I don't know if that PDF is still available or if she's reworking it, because she does a really good job of depicting animals in her deck, which I think a lot of occult decks kind of lack. But yeah, anyways, moving on to more details about this deck. So the Telos Tarot is going to have a full guidebook, I think, like this, but it's probably going to be a lot more. I don't know. She kind of hyped it up in, let me see, in the little booklet here, because the booklet here is very, very, like, half of it is dedicated to working with the cards as a magical tool. And yeah, and talks about the Decans and where the Decan images come from. So, oh, sorry, yawning. I'm like, I barely started, and I'm already yawning. But yeah, and like, so maybe like a quarter of the booklet is dedicated to like ways to work with the deck, consecrating it, and yeah, it's a really good little booklet, and it's really hyping up the guidebook that she's writing for this. So yeah, the backs here are like, again, it's definitely on brand. Like, I think, like, I see this back and I'm like, yeah, that matches up in theme with the rest of her of her cards. And I wish that there was more detail in empty spaces of the deck, which, I mean, like, you can see like the clouds here are kind of doing a lot of work of the detail. Like, I don't know, there's weird kind of awkward spaces of empty space, right? Did I say that right? There's a lot of weird empty spaces in this deck, in some cards, but yeah, we'll get through it. But yeah, the back is stamped in gold. The gold kind of did make a bit of dust on that, but that's kind of par for the course when it comes to gold on decks. I might edge this in dark green. I have this marker, but I don't think it's the right shade of green to go with this. This is closer to like a darker pine green than anything. And then the front has these silver borders, which I'm like, I'm okay with. I don't think decks really. She loves to do these to her decks, and I prefer metallic details to be on the art itself, rather than just on the border, or to have it on the edges. I don't know. There's something about a gilded border. I'm not too jazzed about it. And I also feel like the deck needs to be bigger. I don't know why. I think it needs to be like the size of like the large Thoth. Where is that? Where's my copy? I need to give me one. I feel like it needs to be closer to, because I think the pictures just would benefit from that. I want to find, yeah, here we go. Here she is. I'm like, I knew she wouldn't be too far from the hunt. I mean, you know, like just image wise, I mean, look at how big the image here is compared to this. Like, yeah, I feel like it would be, she would benefit from these sized cards, but this is a pretty average sized. That being said, I know that a lot of tarot readers tend to have smaller hands, and so probably would be more of have an aversion to cards like this, to this size, and maybe more comfortable with cards these size. But some people will complain about even the standard tarot size, which this deck is like around, like this is a standard tarot, and this is how big the Telos is. So yeah, so anyway, about this deck, the main focus of this deck are the Decanic cards, the cards of the Decans, of the 36 Decans. And she goes in depth into talking about them. If you want to learn more about the Decans, the readily available book on the Decans is T. Susan Chang's 36 Secrets. Let me see, where is it? I have it here. And this one too. Is that the only book? Right, those are the only books. Other books like touch on the Decans, but they do, and you can go in depth into them. But this is one that needs to be reprinted. The author, Austin Coppock, is working on it. But this here is the one that's readily available. 36 Secrets, Decanic Journey Through the Minor Arcana of the Tarot by T. Susan Chang. This is, again, I think, yeah, this is more focused on the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery and the imagery from the Picatrix. But yeah, it's yeah. And it goes through the Decan Walk, which I think you can do. I think this deck is perfect for doing that. And she talks about working through the deck and making the deck. This book, though, let me go through it. I'm all over the place. But this here is probably the best book for learning the Decans and how to work with the Decans and what they are. And it needs to be in every, I think it was ahead of its time, but definitely for sure in high demand now. The copies of the first edition paperback go for ridiculous prices, but I think it was well worth every penny when I got mine. I think it was worth it. And so in the back here of this book, you get a lot of the imagery of the Decans here. So this is here is the image in Liber Hermetis, which gets a little weird, but this and the Yavana Jataka, and then the Birhat Jakara, I believe that's how you pronounce that. I think those are all Vedic astrology texts. And then this one's from The Beginning of Wisdom by Ibn Ezra. And then I believe there's the Picatrix right here from the Arabic and the Latin translation. And then we have, which I believe 777 bases it off of this. If not, it's from Agrippa's 3 Books of Occult Philosophy. But 777, that's the Indian based on, this is what she based her book on as well. And she's going to go more in depth into like the angels and the spirits, I think, and the deities associated to it as well. Because I think you can work with it with the Decans, you can work a little bit with what deck is it? Where is it? I have them here. The Goetia and the Angels. I think probably like the Occult Tarot and the Angel Tarot by, is it Bloodstone Tarot? I can't remember what it's called. But these two, for sure, I believe you should be able to work with them via the Goetia and the Notoria. This is the Goetia deck. I believe the correspondences might be a little different on this one, mostly because they kind of, I think people see 72 and really want to shoehorn in the Goetia into the tarot of 78, like one spirit per deck, but really it's like, it's two spirits per decan. And so they do the same here with the Notoria or the Shemha Mepharash. I don't know what the difference between the Notoria and the Shem Angels are, but yeah, you can essentially work with these the same way. And someone's at the door. I'll have to check the door right now. Hold on. Okay, so that's just my niece and nephew. But anyways, and so the purpose of this deck was really to be much more of a magical tool. First, I believe primarily, I get that from the vibe of the booklet. Like, you're supposed to use these as talismans or sigils, maybe. I mean, I think talismans is more accurate, and I think if you consecrate them at the right astrological timing, they can. But she kind of consecrated the images herself at the right astrological timing by creating them during the time of the decans that they were assigned to. So she was not only illustrating the decans, but she was at the same time also illustrating the court cards. So during I believe this is Aries, Taurus, Gemini, so I think during like Aries to Gemini season, she was working on the Prince of Discs and the Princess of Discs, because Prince of Discs is Taurus with Aries. I think it's Aries and Taurus, and this card as well as like the last the Four of Wands and the Five and Six of Discs. I think during that time she was also working on these. So like she was working overtime with this deck, from what I remember. I don't know if I should zoom in. I think that's fair. But I think there's some cards, like, again, she can do great details here. You know, you see in the grass in the fields there of the corn. But then there's like these cards that are extremely bare. There's a lot of empty space. But then there's like here, like the clouds here within the Prince of Swords. The Queen of Swords, I think, is like my favorite court card of all of them. But my cousin pointed out on the Princess of Discs, which is another one of my favorites, is that she looks like Florence and the Machine. Like, she gives that vibe. And I'm like, oh my god, how did I not see it? I was like, how did I totally missed that. And I liked how androgynous some of the princesses look. You know, yeah, a very interesting zoomed in Queen of Cups. Like, usually I like to see a Thoth Queen of Cups with like a reflection in the water, which there kind of is here, but it's not the same. You don't see her reflection. But yeah, like here, like even though like there's strong feminine, you know, signs here, there's an androgyny to them for some reason. I like how bright the fire is here, though I think the colors can sometimes lean a little bit pale or pastel-ish. I love this Queen of Wands. She really does a good Queen of Wands. I want to compare it to her Tabula Mundi Queen of Wands, because they have a lot of similarities in looks. I wonder if it's like a similar model, or it's someone that is close to Meleen. I don't know. Let me see if I can find it. Of course, let me go to the back. Probably in the back. The last few cards. It's always the last few cards where you see the card that you're actually looking for, or maybe not, or it's always The cards you look for are always in the last place you see. Here she is. She has a very similar, not just because of the symbols there of the leopard and all that, but just her, like, as a figure. I think it's like the same person, I think, just in different in a different pose. But she it's I think her Queen of Wands are always so beautiful, I think, and very not as imposing as like you see in the Crowley Thoth, the Crowley Harris art. Though of course this is all her. She has no other. She isn't collaborating with anyone. This is just her own work, and I love this. Like this Two of Wands. Now we're getting into the Decan cards, and we're gonna go through the wheel of the zodiac as we follow through the Decans, and to bear in mind, when I was first learning, I always thought that it was the planet in the sign, but it's not. It's just the section of the sign that is ruled by this planet. So it's not that Mars is in Aries. Mars does really well in this 10 degrees of Aries. And so any planet can be in this sign. So I think if you get any planetary major with next to or with this card or something or in Aries, you can think of like, oh, say I pull the World card and it's Saturn, and Saturn is in the Two of Wands, and you can read into what that is, and Copic Copic talks about that in each of the decans. Like he'll say like, here's Saturn in the first decan of Gemini, then Jupiter, then the Sun and Mars and Venus, and we'll say like, oh, this planet does good, this planet doesn't do so well, this planet does better, so on and so forth. Or, don't do any magic during this time of this type, or this decan is good for this type of magic. So yeah, here's Venus. Venus, although doesn't do really well in Aries, but at the last degree of Aries, she tends to do pretty well. Venus does. Probably because of how close she is to Taurus, I believe. I think. And I think that kind of plays into all the decans, but I have to see, because it's not always so cut and dry like that, and very persistent in that pattern. Like, I don't think Mercury isn't the last decan ruler of Taurus, So, anyways, I like this with I believe it's supposed to be Astarte or Ishtar. I believe, I could be wrong. And then oh gosh, I don't know where he's from. I believe he's Asclepius. Maybe I could be wrong as well. And I think her guidebook isn't very it's, don't get me wrong, it's a good little booklet. I think it gives you just enough to get to get your, the rubber hits the road, and you can really work with these here. So let me see here. Aries 3, I can read you out this page here. A restless man in scarlet robes with golden bracelets on his hands and arms. So that's clearly what it is here. Deities, Eros, Horus, and the decan ruler is Venus. The decan ruler Venus combines with sign ruler Mars, a perfect pairing that leads to completion of a labor of love and will. It is a card of balance, order, and fulfillment, and finding a complement. The card is sometimes associated with marriage. This image can be used for creating unions and forging bonds, especially when there is fire in the heart, as the deities of Eros and Horus. It can be used to grant a great personal magnetism that can charm even hostile forces. And so there you can see, if maybe you're wanting to make friends or something in school or in a workplace or in a social environment, you want the best part of yourself to be presented. I think this talisman would work well. She says like you can copy these images and print them out on paper and carry them with you as talismans. But again, like the idea of consecration comes into mind. Like, when's the right time to do it? Because it's like you can make these things, and these talismans like are on like usually like stones or metal pieces or something, or carvings, and you consecrate them at the right time astrologically. But usually it's very rare to find the right time to consecrate them perfectly, to do what you want them to do with like, because usually if Mars or Saturn is like afflicting the planets in a certain way, it's there's a whole thing to it. But anyways, but yeah, that's kind of the gist of what you get from the booklet, and I think that's very like it's a very good little quick guide I think you can have on hand and carry around with the deck, so that you can work with it as a magical tool. And she talks about that a lot through it. And so I think that's what I like about this deck so far, is that it's meant to be like, yeah, you can use it in divination, though, albeit there's different images here. Like, this is not like your typical Eight of Swords here. You can kind of get to the same idea, like these swords are in the way of this chariot, or this woman riding these two horses without a chariot actually, but but she's blindfolded, and she has the wings of Mercury on her head, and the horses have like these star banners on their like, again, there's things that you can work with it, along with how the waters look. It looks like the landscape here looks like the intro to Prometheus, with those weird landscapes that they show at the very start of the movie. The movie is such a weird place. It's like, it's not like a perfect movie, but I think it has its supporters, its lovers, I think. Anyways, so yeah, and I think you also have to keep in mind with these cards is that it's not just the astrological decan that's being illustrated here, though. Or rather, I should say, within these cards, you can do the same thing with these, with the with, like, you know, these, along with the Thoth and even the Rider-Waite-Smith as well. But the thing with those though, is that the imagery is also influenced by the number and the suit. So it's not just, you know, the astrological of Gemini, Mars and Gemini energies playing out to display this Deccan image. It's also Yesod, and in the Tree of Life, and the world of Yetzirah, showing, you know, being influencing the imagery here. So it's not just pure Decanic imagery, it's also Kabbalistic imagery influencing this as well. So it's not 100%, but in this deck, this is like the Decans take a much more prominent uh, uh, stance in the cards. I should say it's yeah. And it also reminds me of another deck that I have. I don't know what it's called. Like, here's an interesting card, the Three of Cups. You don't see the three women, but it is like still a very good card. I think all the Cancer cards are really good to have, but again, like, you gotta know when to use these talismans and in what situations, because sometimes maybe you know, uh let's see, but it reminds me of let's see, where is it, where is she, here she is. This deck here, I've shown it quite a few times. It reminds me of the Universal Tarot. I don't know who the author's name is. I can't remember at the time, but this is a really, really cool deck here as well. And again, it does kind of the same vibes, I think. But here, like, I think this deck also, like, here, the Six of Wands looks very Rider-Waite-Smith, along with the Seven of Wands as well. There's a lot of cards that do a really good job of showing Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, but I think if I think the Decanic images are the only way that Crowley would have been able to input people in his imagery, if his Thoth deck were made with people in every single card, like the Rider-Waite-Smith was. But this one, yeah, it's just, it's very, it's I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Right. That's what I was getting at. Her Rosetta Tarot was supposed to be a blend of Rider-Waite-Smith and Thoth, but that one just kind of just ended up being still a thothy, very thothy deck with a dash of Rider-Waite-Smith here and there. But this one, I feel like Rider-Waite-Smith is definitely like being shown here. Maybe it's just because, again, like there's people in the cards. There's people show up a lot throughout these images. So yeah. This is a very interesting Five of Cups with this fiery river here. The river Styx. Very different, where it's like supposed to be very watery, but I think it's because of Mars influence on that Decan. This is a fun one here. You're going to be like, what are these images? What's going on here? And I'm like, this is what the Decanic images were shown. This is a very interesting card depicting oppression and the fascist symbol here. And then versus the bundle of sticks. It reminds me a bit of like, I'm pretty sure this exact depiction here is kind of like an homage to Led Zeppelin's album, which I've never heard. I don't think I've ever heard a Led Zeppelin album ever. I'm sure I've heard a few songs here and there, but this album, the cover, I always know this part of the album, but I've never heard it. But just because of how it's tarot-y, But anyways, I love this card for some reason, which I think in traditional astrology, my Jupiter is in this Decan. I could be wrong. I have it there, but it's under a bunch of stuff. I know. I'm like, I don't want to get my birth chart. This monkey is very creepy to me, but I think all apes are kind of scary looking. Honestly, I don't know how people can keep them as pets. People are weird. I have not seen that show. What is it? Chimp Crazy or something? Which some people were watching. I'm like, I don't want to watch that. Like, I just know someone's face is getting fucked up in that movie or that show, that documentary. I just know it. But apparently there's like a lot to it about like animal abuse and all that. Anywho, there's a few cards here that look like little court cards. Like this here looks like a King of Swords. I think the Four of Discs, I think we just passed, right? Yeah, he looks like a little king card or an emperor card, which kind of fits with it, but this one particularly too, he can kind of like, it'd be interesting to see how they play out. I did a reading with this deck to kind of see like I do my typical interview spread with it, and I'm like, oh, I really like the cards that I got with it, and it really offered something. And I'm like, okay, but I don't want to continue using this deck without consecrating it myself. I want to try consecrating it like how she says in the guidebook, how she recommends. I want to give it a try to see how it works, to try go into my foray into being more magically inclined. I just noticed this right now, the letter He with the droplets of water here. I love that. That's brilliant. And now these are the aces. Let me go back to that Ace of Wands. This Ace of Wands with the being so close to the Ein Sof hour, the limitless, infinite nothingness. It's I love it. And then like the bright lightning flash that travels down the tree. And then here we have the Ace of Swords piercing the Aleph. And I love that she does these they're not, I want to call them parabolas, but that's not what a parabola is. That's not a parabola. It's a, oh gosh, what's it called? But it's a really cool little geometric shape. She does it a lot. Like she did it with this one too, with the Ace of Discs. It's beautiful here. And again with the world card. This world is just, I would love a bigger size of this because it's so full. But again, like, and the Judgment, the Eon card as well is also a very good example of that. And the Sun is another one, and the Moon too. Like, these are really cool. And of course, she understands the assignment when it comes to the star card. Like, this is what I want from a star card. I love that she made the roses more prominent than like in Crowley's, than in Crowley Harris's deck. And then again, that geometric shape here. I love the shape of the use of geometry here. This tower is really like intense and crazy. Like, what is that thing? You know, it's crazy. But then there's cards like this. Don't get me wrong, it's beautiful. I love it. But I think it could have been zoomed in just a tad, like just a little bit. Like the space here could have been shortened a bit, and this whole area of all the image that's is the devil is more takes up more of the card. Um, but yeah, I don't know. But also, this is also very probably her most phallic one. I want to see her other devil cards because I don't think she does. I mean, Crowley's devil is very, very like. There's the freaking genitalia. It's very like we get it, Crowley. We see it. We get it. Like, we get it. You're a freak, but like, and not to like kink shame him or anything. Yeah, this one doesn't really show the heavy phallic imagery. If there is, I'm totally missing it. And are they the same? Even, yeah, these images, I want to say, no, they're about the same size. Why do these pictures look smaller than these? Tell me why. Or are they? Are they smaller? They are smaller. They're a hair smaller, right? I'm not going crazy, am I? Maybe I am. But anyways, yeah, I'm like, I love this devil because there isn't that phallic expressive imagery, but here it like also works well. Like, let me see her her Rosetta tarot. Let's see if I can find it real quick. I know you guys are probably going to be like, just edit this out. I'm not going to edit this out. This is, if you want to be a tarot reader, and if you're going to collect tarot decks, and you're going to be like comparing and contrasting images like this, get used to witnessing what it's like with these cards here. Finding the card that you're looking for. And I know there's mushrooms in the Rosetta Tarot Devil card. Of course, it's the last one. Yeah, of course. You see this one too? Not very, I mean, kind of right here. But I mean, when I don't really immediately think of phallus when I see a mushroom for some reason. Except for some of them. Some of them really do kind of look like that. Some do. Don't get me wrong, but these not so much. But yeah, but I mean, like, fungi for the devil. I think that works. The fungal world for the devil. Like, I mean, it's kind of what causes like fermentation, and psilocybin is also something, you know, like you're taking little shroomy doos. Those little special shrooms. I also see this Iao, you know, right there. But anyways, and then what another thing about this deck is there's a lot of pale colors. This art card is gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but again, like the empty space here, it makes it look like more vacuous, if that makes sense. But it gives it not only gives it some space to breathe, but it also like I don't know. There's something. It bridges or touches near lacking in some parts, especially with the pale coloring here. I love this death card here. I think this is so cool. But yeah, like I can see definitely a comparison to the Pharaoh's Tarot Hanged Man with the strap, the belt wrapped around his leg rather than like tied around his foot, and then it makes the Ankh shape with the knot there. I love that. This Lust card is so cool. She, again, it's the star and the Lust card, and like she Meleen always understands the assignment when it comes to depicting the tarot for some, like, she just gets it. I think she just gets it, and she is working on another deck, maybe, I believe, possibly two more. I'm not sure how many decks she's still working on, but right now I think she's focusing on getting this out as well. So as we enter the majors, I will tell you right now, she is still currently shipping out the Kickstarter rewards, all the decks that people got from the Kickstarter, but she will be making it available on her store. I will be putting a link in the description down below if you would like to pick up a copy, but just know if you get the Telos Tarot, it is going to take a little bit longer to get to your order because she has to get through all the Kickstarters first. So I'd say like maybe wait a while or something. I don't know, if you really don't like to place an order and wait a really long time, if you'd rather wait a while and then get your order and then not have to wait so long for a shipping confirmation as well. I like this chariot. I like how dark this chariot is for some reason. Like it looks like with the waves and all that. I don't know. And then look at this lovers, like the lovers and temperance art, or art, the art card are very pale. They share the colors almost, where they're usually supposed to be different colors. Like this is supposed to be more like oranges. Like the lovers the lovers colors are kind of ugly for the color scales. I love her hierophants are always so cool to see. This is definitely much more of a Crowley Thoth take, but her other versions from her previous decks are always really cool. Let me show you the other ones. Give me a second. This is gonna take really long, and I don't want to be, making a long ass video. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. So here's the Pharaohs, which I think you can see a strong influence on this card into this one. Like it's like this card and the Thoth Hierophant definitely like influenced the design on this one. I like how he's holding the sign for Venus as well. But you can see here though, like, she has an aesthetic. She gets those colors down right. But this is probably like my least favorite of all of them, but he's still a pretty cool little guy. He's a cool little Hierophant guy. He's just a tiny guy, the Hierophant, just a tiny guy. Anyways, so yeah, I'm liking it so far, but I want to, before I use it, I want to consecrate it. Like she said, I think it like asks to be, but before I'm like, when's the right time to do it? I don't know. So yeah, like here the Emperor, it's like he's so small. Everything is so small here, but there's all this empty space around. It's a very interesting take. I feel like it's because the devil has the same thing where I'm like, it could be just a little bit zoomed in closer, because I don't think there's really much to read into within like a centimeter around the image, where all the symbols are kind of packed into one thing here. You can clearly see the mountains, the sun, and the rays, and the design here. I don't know. And like, is it really needed? Like, except for like this card, like this obviously, like something about the bricks here of this doorway, and this is a beautiful Empress. I want a full like large print of this card as well. And again, like the High Priestess, I wanted more of this. I wanted more details here going on throughout the card, And then here we have the Magus. I love this magician as well. But again, the yellows are very pale. They're very, very pale yellows here, where in other cards usually the yellow is pretty heavy. Like here in the Thoth, and even in her other decks as well, she does carry on that heavy yellowness. Same with like the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune and the Magus both have that same similar colors. And then here we have the Fool, a very simple, very like kind of like a traditional Fool, probably her most traditional Fool compared to others, except for the dragon and the smoke. This is definitely something new that I haven't seen. But like, what is he holding? You know what it makes me think of? the silver ball and the smoke, everything. It makes me think of long legs. Is this supposed to be long legs? No, I'm just, well, maybe. I don't know. In terms of the cardstock, I'm not going to shuffle it, but it is a very bendy cardstock. It's a very a la Game Crafter, dare I say, like maybe like like a slightly stiffer Game Crafter cardstock. It's not the best. I do wish that she changed the lamination on her cards, at least given it, you know, a layer of lamination, something, because her images with this cardstock get worn out. I don't know if you've noticed when I showed the cards here, right there, the red right there is getting scraped off and worn out over time, which in over time has its charm of seeing like, oh, this deck has been well worn and well used and all that, but it's still, I like my things to last, you know. But I'm still gonna use it. It's not gonna. Don't trust. I will be riffle shuffling. I will be overhand shuffling. Yes, I will be riffle shuffling this. And yeah, and I will say the cut. I don't know if this is my copy, but my cut is a little bit uneven. I don't know if you can see that there, how it looks compared to the sides. I'm trying to show you guys here how you can see some of the cards are like sticking out. It's not so flat and smooth as like this one, even though it's like dirty from my fingers, but you can see how even the bonus cards here, which are like the 12 sign cards, are still also like smooth and in line with this deck. It's an even cut. And even of course the Rosetta as well is well cut, so this printer has done pretty decent quality with the decks that she uses. I don't know who she goes to for the printing, you know. It's obviously but she relies on them. She uses that. I don't know who it is, but it definitely, at this point, it's a staple to her print qualities and how she makes her decks. It's definitely like it's her, you know. It's her brand. I think it's on brand for her, you know. So yeah, so this is the Telos Tarot. I'm really excited to see what other deck she has, but I'm gonna wait for the right time to consecrate this though before I can actually use it in readings. And I don't know how I would use. I don't know. I don't know where I'll go with it, but I do want to work with this deck. This probably will be my working deck. I want to work with this one. I want to read it. I want to shuffle it and read it, but soon. Not yet, but soon. Even more so than the Tabula Mundi. And the Tabula Mundi is a good deck. Rosetta, I barely use it, honestly. I rarely use the Rosetta, but I do like using the mini one as a nice little shuffler, just to hold and shuffle, and while I'm like watching a video and I want my hands to be occupied with something, I'll use the Rosetta Tarot. And the Pharos is definitely one that I would use for like right now I have the Hanged Man. I need to change it out. I might switch over to just using this as the majors only with this little stand here, and keep it there as like decor. Bring in another image stand. I don't know, but depending on how the consecration goes, and you know, and cleansing this deck, which I don't want to. Well, no, cleansing it. No, I think the energy from her is definitely in this deck already. I don't want to like get rid of that, you know. More so, I want it just ready to be used and to work with me and to work for others as well. It'll take time. I gotta figure it out. I'm sure other people will know, but again, mind you, this is the first time for me doing something like this, so I want to find the right time and all that, yada yada yada. Okay, anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment your ideas, your opinions, your thoughts on this Meleen release, and let me know what Meleen decks you have. Do you have all of them? Which do you prefer? Which were you disappointed in? Let's have it. Let's spill the tea, you know. let's have a yap sesh in the comments about this. And yeah, and I will see you all in the next probably live stream or next walkthrough video that I do. I might do a few more in-depth walkthroughs, not like this. This is clearly just a flip through top, like first impressions, give like my initial opinions on this deck and compare it to the other decks as well that are from this. But yeah, but anyways, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video that I do. Like I said, in-depth, something in-depth. I think it will probably be like with the Elemental Tarot or the Witch Sister Tarot. Maybe. We'll see. I'm working on it. I'm working on the Witch Sister because I'm liking the guidebook so far. But anyways, enough about other decks. Let me sign off. This is almost an hour long. Okay. Bye, everyone.